Hello everyone, apologise for the wind tunnel. Welcome to another disused railway walk. Just walked under the Erewash valley line. I was calling it Erewash, but that's been corrected, sorry about that. So I'm walking under there into what was the Westhouses loco works, and then I'm going to stomp on then on the Blackwell trail onto what was Blackwell Colliery. There's still some buildings there, and then on under the M1 to Hilcote Colliery. Now Blackwell Colliery was known as A winning and Hilcote was known as B winning. There was also a C winning, which is over in Alfreton behind me. Hopefully there'll be some stuff left, but I know here where the loco works are, or were, sorry, they did open cast mine a few years back, so obviously that's decimated it, but hopefully I'll be able to find a couple of bits and bobs. So we're just following the line now away from the Erewash Valley line. This was the loco works. As you can see, there's nothing there at all, unfortunately. All of this would have been railway land. The houses up there, they were built for the railway. There wasn't any kind of real village here until then. Yeah, Westhouses was basically a farm, I think, pretty much. And then when the railway came and they built the yard here, obviously people needed somewhere to live, so they built up a whole village. Then they took the yard away. Cheers for that. So I'm going to stomp on now from here, make my way to Blackwell Colliery. There was a railway station here in Westhouses, but that closed a long time ago. The bridge and stuff is still there, the station buildings are all gone. There is a station pub still there, but see, there's no station to go alongside it, unfortunately. It's a lot less boggy than the last walk we went on. All this land's been totally reshaped, so I'm following the Blackwell Trail, which is supposed to be the line that came off there through Blackwell Colliery, through Hilcote Colliery, and then on to New Hucknall Colliery, where it joined up with Hucknall Sidings, which was the Great Central. So this is a Midland line, that was Great Central. All these collieries were connected. I managed to find a video, I'll try and get a screenshot if I can, of the underneath of Blackwell Colliery. So obviously underneath here you've got all the seams, like hundreds of feet underground, and they all joined up. So the last walk where we came from Morton Colliery, if you went, underground, you could get to Blackwell Colliery from Morton Colliery. And they kept them open for, ventilation and stuff. Apologise for the wind today, it's pretty brutal actually. I'll probably keep the chat to a minimum until I get somewhere which is a little bit more sheltered, but see those cranes in the distance, that's basically where C winning was. So that was the Alfreton Colliery, so you had C winning there, A winning. Basically that fella's just walking up to some of the buildings that are still there. They got the M1, then beyond that, B winning. I kept seeing the term winning when it came to different collieries all over the country, and I did wonder what that was all about, whether it was kind of like, we found some coal, we're winning, and it pretty much is that. It's basically when a pit is ready, in terms of it's prepped, ready to get the coal out, that's known as winning. So A winning, B winning, and C winning behind me. A winning, which is the one we're going to see now, still got a pump house and stuff all there. That closed in about 1968. And I was saying in Morton, obviously the number of people that died was pretty bad. This one was off the charts. I was literally scrolling and scrolling. But there's one famous pit disaster. Now, for something to be called a pit disaster, it has to be 5 or more deaths. So 4 deaths, that's not a disaster, that's fine now. But there was one here, where 7 lads lost their life. There's a very interesting story. I'm pretty sure there's a plaque which tells that story, so we'll come up to that. But it involves football, believe it or not. Now the reason the pump house is still going, see there's a stream down there, there's a stream that follows the whole line here. Basically, much like with Morton, as the water comes out, it would poison the water table. And so they have to keep pumping it and pumping it and pumping it and putting it into these large lagoons where basically there's some reeds in there that kind of do what they do. The sun does what the sun does. And there's also a cascade, which we'll get to in a bit, which sends the water down that cascade, which oxidizes it, I think is the term. Anyway, after a period of time it makes it safe. So we're told. I think that would be a memorial to the people that died in the mine, given where we are and how he looks, but when you get to it, place for reflection. It's a beautiful location, I must admit. What's nice for this one is, you know, one, it's not muddy, but there's also little plaques along the way that tell you certain things about it. Otherwise, to be honest, without that you wouldn't even know you were on an old railway line, you wouldn't know that was an old colliery. So there's the pumping house, still doing it, still pumping it out after all these years. Chucking it over into those lagoons over there. You see there's reed beds, and then it comes down that cascade we just saw back into the water. I think someone at Blackwell Parish Council is a Sheffield United fan, because they chose that story there about that lad who played for Sheffield United and worked at the colliery. There's another lad called Willie Layton who was meant to be working that night shift that killed all those lads, but he had a trial for Sheffield Wednesday, which is obviously Sheffield United's rival team. He had a trial the next day, so he didn't bother going into work that night, and obviously the explosion went and killed all those lads. And when he went to the trial the next day, he said, if they sign me, I'll never leave Sheffield Wednesday, and that'll be a sign, I'll be with them for life. He did. He played over 300 odd games, won the league title, won the FA Cup, played for Sheffield Wednesday for 15 years as a mark of respect for the lads that he should have been working with. So it's odd it doesn't mention it on that plaque. It mentions another lad who played for Sheffield United. See, now you wouldn't think this was an old railway line, which is just countryside. It's beautiful, but this was an absolute sea of railway lines back in the day. I mean, I'm not going to tuck to the electric fence anyway, but I'm hoping it ain't being powered by that. That would be just slightly excessive, wouldn't it? Another walker's dead. It's not a particularly long walk, this one, just from Westhouses. Obviously we've joined the line where that triangle was, but you can still clearly make out from the air, even with all that open cast mining, you know, that decimated where the loco works were. I reckon you'd have been able to find loads of stuff, because it was quite a vast complex. But obviously they've dug that out and taken all the coal out, so nothing remains. This is a bit of a nature reserve now, which is nice, and I think the wind hopefully has kind of subsided a bit. It was a bit crazy back there. I'm going to keep walking underneath the M1, the M1 motorway for people around the world. And when I get to the other side of that, there's another couple of railway bridges, I think, and then you hit what would have been B winning, which was Hilcote Colliery, which was the second one built. So they built Blackwell first, A winning, Hilcote second, B winning, and then up in Alfreton, where those big cranes are, that was C winning. This one went first, actually, Hilcote, the one we're coming up to in a bit. That went in 1964, Blackwell went in 1968, then Alfreton went last in 1969. All these kind of places are just built on mining. You know, when you come through Hilcote, even the pub still says B winning. There's still a miner's welfare, which is crazy when you think, you know, it's 2023 and they've still got a miner's welfare for a pit that closed in 1964. It just goes to show, though, just how much mining ruled the landscape and ruled the whole social landscape as well as the physical landscape. These posts look like they would have been there around the days of the railway. It's a beautiful stomp if you can ignore the humming of the M1. Mind you, I can hear that from my house. It doesn't actually bother me, to be fair. railway bridge. I don't know, I mean obviously, you know, those bits aren't original, but I don't know if underneath is. I'll have an investigation. Hey horsies, that's Blackwell Village Church up the top there, I don't know if you can make that out. So obviously that's been added later, that's modern, but I think even this concrete bit's modern, but if you look down, those bricks are original, aren't they? Just about going to the M1 now. So you might not be able to hear much, it might just be... It is lovely around here though, just to get out. I'm glad the sun's come out as well. It's a nice afternoon stroll before I've got to pick the nipper up from school. Around here though, so behind obviously you've got A Winnie, C Winnie, about to get to B Winnie. So there's 3 collieries. South Normanton, which is at the top of the hill, they're the colliery. Kirkby Bentnick, Curtney Summit Colliery, Tibshelf Colliery, Hillsley Colliery, Morton, where we went last week. All within a space that I reckon if you warmed your shoulder up enough, you could hit them all with a cricket ball, you know. All connected underneath by these, like I say, these tunnels hundreds of feet underground. As you see, because the M1 was built probably not long, to be fair, before this closed really, in terms of the collieries. When was the M1 built? Between, was it mid-50s and mid-60s, between that period I think. And obviously, you know, this one we're coming up to was gone in 64. Back into the light. It's a big old nature reserve over that side. And that goes into Hilcote, the village. So we're virtually at the old pit. There's nothing left of this one. You know, obviously with Blackwell, there's like a couple of pumping stations, a couple of buildings still there. Those kind of famous red brick Victorian buildings, but there's nothing here at Hilcote. There's a big spoil heap. So, you know, if you're a connoisseur of collieries, you might be able to go, hang on a minute, that's the spoil heap. But otherwise, you wouldn't have a clue about the pit sort of site itself. But just before it, there is an old railway bridge, well, an old railway viaduct actually, which they've kind of filled in a bit to strengthen it, because obviously in those days the trucks and stuff that were going over it were probably, you know, 4-wheel jobbies. These ones are just absolutely enormous nowadays, the Arctics. Right, I say nature reserve, it smells like a water treatment place if I'm honest. Okay, it's a bit grim. There's your nature reserve through fencing like that for some reason, and there's the water treatment place. So that was the whiff that was going up my nostrils, less than pleasant. Although I don't live far from here, so I might probably be partly responsible. It's probably only about 4 miles, maybe 5 miles round trip, so not mammoth, but you can keep going. I've done it before. Me and a mate did like a 23-mile circle. We took in like 9 collieries or something insane. So once you've got this bit, you can carry on past Hilcote. You go under what was the mainline Great Central. There was a big viaduct, which isn't there anymore obviously, but the embankments either side are, so you can kind of make out where it would have been. And then you get into a place called Huthwaite, or as I heard it described last week, Scruffwaite. All these mining places could probably do with a lick of paint, but it's understandable. If you take away everyone's livelihoods, was the best you thought would happen. But the yeah, New Hucknall Colliery site is there, and again I think it's much like this one. Like there's the big old spoil heaps and stuff like that, and you get like the odd bits. So there'll be like Colliery Drive, or you know, pit cottages or something like that. So that they name like new housing developments after it to kind of maybe, I think, you know, just point backwards a bit. But in terms of actual infrastructure and buildings and things that you can climb into and explore, there's now, I'm not sure what that's from, but when we did the old Rowthorne Trail, I don't know if you've seen that one, they used the tops of the tunnel, just kind of dotted them around. So maybe that's what they've done with an old bridge or an old viaduct, you know, on this line. Yeah, we're coming up to the railway bridge now. Here we go. Oh, a couple of ladies on film. As you can see, line would have gone straight through there, but they filled that in. So you kind of have to go around and do a bit of a wee, which obviously the trains weren't doing. So it would have been a viaduct, a few arches, but they filled it in and strengthened it, obviously all that concrete. There's lots of industry around here now. Oh, you can just see it here. So I mean, it's all just big trucks and stuff. So they need to make it stronger. There's the original arches through there, can you see them? I'll get you as close as I can, but there are stinging nettles. Been a bit of a wuss, I know. But yeah, that was the original, and then bosh. So you'd have had a line through there, line through there. If you get the old map out, you can see, you know, we're just following this little path, but these would have all been lines coming through into the colliery site. Some dog poo hanging in a tree. See what I mean? More jaunt. It's a couple of little branches, so that one went off into the pit. So did this one. They actually join up the other side, I think. I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me correctly. So how it would have looked. So there's the spoil heaps there, going up. And I'll show you, I'll get a side-by-side map thing out so you can see how it would have looked. I mean, there's little bits of original, you know, like obviously that brick wall. But apart from that, there's nothing left. If you go through into Hilcote there, you've got the miners' welfare. You've got a boozer. Like I say, if you carry on, it joins up then. I'll just stomp this bit. So I'm not sure where that way goes. That way will go up, round then into Hilcote village, I'm pretty sure. And that one is the one that joins up with the original line. That's all for another Disused railway walk. Not a particularly long one today, and not a hell of a lot of infrastructure, but some nice bridges, and it's just nice to get out in it. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks for everyone that subscribed, really appreciate that, and I'll see you next time.